Hey, it's Trevor and Rob here today with QA1, and we are going to take a look at this awesome 56 Chevy truck. Looking today at your awesome 56 Chevy Apache, and want to hear the story behind it.
All right, thanks. So yeah, I had a big block Chevy engine in my garage and was looking for a project, so I found this on Craigslist, and it was down by La Crosse, Wisconsin, and so I went and looked at it, and of course when you see an old rusty truck, you envision how it's going to look when you're done, and so I bought it on the spot, went back the next weekend, picked it up, and so this was February of 2013, so I towed it home in a snowstorm, which was pretty fun, and stuffed it into my garage, and that was basically how I got it, and then many years later, I finally got it on the road last year. So.
Nice, nice. Would you say it turned out how you had envisioned it, or is it always a project in process?
Yeah, after I got it and looked at it for a little while, I wanted to build a pro street style truck, but I wanted it to be able to go through an autocross too. So I wanted something that was reliable, that I could drive as a multi-purpose truck to do a lot of different things with, but I really liked the pro street look with the big tires on there and some rake and of course, loud exhaust.
Nice, nice. You did a great job of that, that's for certain.
The loud part, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, let's get into this thing a little more in depth here.
Yeah, so it's got a 496 big block Chevy that I built for it, and the key thing that I was trying to get some decent horsepower out of it, but reliable. So the key thing is cylinder head. So it's got AFR 300 CNC heads on there, great airflow. I wanted to put a big camshaft in it like most guys do, but I talked to Aaron at Comp Cans, and he talked some sense into me to put a reasonable hydraulic roller in it that would last and not kill valve springs. So
a little more streetable attitude then as well, I suppose.
Yeah, so that's what I ended up with, and so it came out nice. I was really happy. It made a little over 650 horsepower on the dyno. So.
Wow. And you built that engine in your garage too, right?
Yeah, I built the whole truck. One of the things I like doing is building, and so I built the whole truck, just about every piece myself, and learned a lot of new skills along the way. Employed some of the things I knew, and it was fun putting it all together.
Nice. Yeah. So what transmission did you put behind that engine then?
Well, I wanted something that would hold up and still have a highway gear with the torque that it was able to do. So I put a 4L80 in it. Stream Automatics built a full manual valve body 4L80 with a 3500 stall and a trans brake and a lockup converter. So it still has all the performance for drag racing and a pretty decent overdrive for street miles or highway cruising.
Yeah.
So that is connected to the back. I've got a Dana 60 in the rear. And we put a QA1 carbon fiber drive shaft in, of course, and
nice.
That thing is super smooth, and it might be a little overkill for the horsepower level, but it's super smooth and well balanced. So when it drives down the road, this is a really smooth riding truck for as loud and noisy as the rest of it is.
Yeah.
And then one of the things with the big block engine, I wanted to be able to sit in traffic, so I talked to the guys at Be Cool Radiator, and they built a custom radiator for me that would handle the heat load of this engine, and so that came out really nice. Put that in there, and it's got a trans cooler on it as well, so I think I'll be set for a long stint sitting in traffic, but hopefully not too long.
Yeah, it seems like you did a great job with the part selections for the reliability and longevity and drivability, of course, too, which is so important.
Yeah, I think trying to build something that I could drive around and have a lot of fun with and not be broken down all the time kind of tempers some of the choices that you make. So hopefully I chose the right balance in that.
All right, so you told us all about the powertrain in this, and I'd say it wouldn't be a QA1 video without talking a little bit about suspension. So tell me what you got suspension-wise, front and back.
Well, yeah, when I got the truck, it had a first-gen Camaro subframe on the front. And of course I took it off to relocate it to get a little bit better stance. So I stretched the wheelbase out a little bit and lowered the front quite a bit over where it was. But so since it's got a Camaro subframe in the front, I was able to put all the QA1 suspension in it. So it's got upper and lower control arms, the drag race control arms that we just came out with.
Nice.
And just as a note, when I first put the truck together, it had different control arms on. So it took 15 pounds off the front with the new drag race control arms from QA1. And you know, weight was one of my big objectives, is to keep the weight low on the truck so that you know, it would be as fast as I want it to be on the quarter mile. So that was a big help on there. So it's got a coil-over conversion. I cut the spring pockets out of the subframe and put a double shear mount on there. So it's got a true coil-over. That allowed me to put a little bit longer shocks. So it's got you know, DD501 double adjustable Promastar shocks on the front with 550-pound springs. You know, after I got the coilovers installed in there, I wanted to put a nice sway bar on there, because I'm still want to take this to the autocross. Even though it's a pro street looking truck, I want to be the guy that shows up at the autocross and has everybody scratching their head. So it's got the big first gen tubular sway bar on the front to go with the control arms and the double adjustable shocks. So really the front is a full QA1 suspension setup. I did convert the steering to a rack and pinion, so it's got kind of a home brewed 1996 Grand Am rack and pinion steering that fits in there. And so it's a sport model, so it's only 2.5 turns lock to lock. So it drives really nice. So the front is pretty much all QA1 and it works great. The back I did custom back half fabricated out of 2x3 rectangular tubing, and so it's got a drag race style 4-link and, you know, a bit of an old school look. So I put a Watts link on the back for this locating device on the rear end, and then of course it's got double adjustable shocks in the back, 130-pound springs, and so that works out really well. So QA1 double adjustables all the way around allows me to dial in, you know, the shock performance for whatever I'm doing, whether it's cruising or drag racing, or when I get out and on the autocross track and crank those down and get some decent valving. But it handles really well.
Nice, yeah. It sounds like you built a super versatile suspension with a lot of modern touches and a lot of great ideas incorporated into that. All right, so you told us about the suspension and how you got this awesome looking stance on this truck. Now, yeah, tell me about the, you know, the tires and the wheels and why you went that route and how it's been working so far.
Okay, good. Yeah, the front, I put 17x8 billet specialty street lights on the front. I went with a little larger diameter wheel than typical pro street guys would stick with 15-inch wheels all the way around, but I want to put bigger brakes on it. It's got 11-inch OE style disc brakes all the way around, which work fine, but like everybody else, I want bigger brakes in the front. So I've created some room for them. Now I just need to get the brakes. The tires on the front are 245 Azzinis, so those are a pretty good, you know, summer compound tires, so hopefully those won't let me down at the autocross. Then on the back, I've got Mickey Thompson drag radials on there. They're 18.5 by 31, so they're a pretty tall tire. And the wheels are 15 by 14.5 Pro Stars, so that's a pretty typical you know, old school pro street look. The main thing you have with pro street cars, you got to put big fat tires on it if you do nothing else. So I think
that is a must. Yes.
Mission accomplished on that part. But it works really well with the radials all the way around. You know, it drives through the twisties really nice. I'm surprised at the performance of these big Mickey Thompsons on the back. The sidewalls seem like they're stiff enough to go around the turns.
Nice. So thanks for showing us around the outside of the truck here and describing your, you know, build intents there. I think it's time for you to give us a good tour of the inside of the truck.
Well, the inside's pretty basic. You know, it's a simple truck. I put a full cage in it, you know, with anticipation of drag racing it, so that was a fun project. You know, the gauges are old school, or the classic style Stuart Warner gauges that I remember as a kid, and then it's got an autometer tack on there. But it's pretty basic. There's no frills in there. I just sprayed some lizard skin heat, what is that? I just sprayed some lizard skin heat barrier in there because it does get pretty hot inside. And I'm hoping that'll pay off with a little bit lower temperature on the inside. But with the, you know, keeping with my lightweight theme, I gutted the doors to get some of the weight out, put polycarbonate side windows in with an electric mechanism, so they're pretty lightweight, and then fabricated some aluminum panels for the door panels. So the doors, I took quite a bit of weight out of each door on there. So the seats are just basic Jegs seats, and you know, there's no frills in the interior. I added air conditioning for a power tour, And there's a couple things that wanted to do to get ready for Power Tour. One is get a little bus cooler fan, which was suggested, and then I made a cup holder. It didn't have a place to put a cup, but one thing on Power Tour is you got to have coffee in the morning and then water in the afternoon. So I made a little cup holder for it to go with the rest of my aluminum themed interior.
Quite the creature comforts you got.
Yeah, it's all ready to go. But
yeah, and you did all the sheet metal work on these door skins too, didn't you?
yeah, I was able to learn a lot of new skills building this project. So one of the things that I got from Eastwood was a bead roller. And so when you get a bead roller, you think you need to put beads in everything.
Right.
And so I did the door panels and the transmission tunnel and a few other little panels inside, and then the whole bed is also sheet metal. So this is a pickup truck that has a bed that's pretty useless. It's 40 thousandths aluminum panels, and I think it looks fine, but it doesn't have any weight hauling capacity. But I did put a few compartments in the back so you can open it up and get to the battery and fuel pump and whatnot.
Nice. Well, Rob, thanks for showing us around your awesome truck. I think you did a great job of incorporating a lot of awesome driving styles into it, and looks great and sounds good, and quite the cool truck to have. So appreciate the time. Anything else you wanted to add yet?
Well, thanks, Trevor. Appreciate your time. This has been fun talking about it. I guess the one last point I wanted to make is just the color scheme. I like black and silver, so satin black and aluminum is the color scheme throughout the truck. And I've been asked many times if I'm going to paint the truck, and no, I'm not going to paint it. I kind of like epoxy primer on it, and that's probably the way it'll stay for the while. It's rough around the edges. So looking forward to Power Tour. Come find us on Power Tour. Come find us at a Go Drive It cruise out of our facility here in Lakeville, but look forward to seeing all of you guys.
Well, thanks for joining us, and follow us along on all of our social media pages. Keep an eye out for this truck along with many of our other vehicles, and see you around and go drive it.